Anyway, let's get into it.
Welcome back to Not From Boston. I'm Bennett.
I'm Harry.
And we have a fun show for you this week. We actually have a guest. We're going to be interviewing Jen McCaffrey, who is the Red Sox writer for The Athletic.
What?
So that'll take up most of this show, I'm guessing. And it'll be a ton of fun.
We're very excited. Very excited.
It's going to be a lot more fun than I think either of us have had watching the Red Sox play baseball this week.
Yikes. Big yikes, big yikes. Yeah, it's been a tough week. We have the last game, the rubber game, or not even the rubber game, the final game of the Detroit series going on in the background here. But it has been a horrible, horrible week of baseball for the Boston Red Sox. It's not even getting blown out anymore. It's like losing in the most fucked up ways. And that it's horrible.
I think it was remarkable because Monday, the Red Sox got their asses absolutely handed to them by the Tigers 14-2, courtesy of Tanner Houck, giving up 9 hits and 11 runs in less than 3 innings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think after that game, it was like, oh, that was the worst loss of the season. That was painful. Game 2 said, hold my beer, because that game went to 11 innings and ended with a walk-off 2-run home run from Javi Baez.
3-run.
Second 3-run right here.
Second 3-run home run of the game. We were up by 2 runs. So this is the thing that kills me, and we'll get into the specifics of it, but we were up in that game by 2 runs on like 4 different occasions or 3 different occasions, and we blew it. And Javier fucking Baez, who, hey, again, I'm taking credit. I gave him my rose a couple weeks ago. I was like, hey, this guy's kind of hitting pretty well. Bro, he's on fire.
It's very cool. It's very cool to see Javi Baez get hot. I'm just pissed that I got burned in the process.
Yeah, man. I mean, I just can't believe,
Yankees, I don't know.
And it's tough, again, we'll get into it, but when you see a rookie hitting a clutch, 2-run home run to take the lead, you're kind of thinking like, all right, we got this one in the bag. When Campbell went yard yesterday, I was like, all right, cool, we got one. We got to take it tomorrow, and then nope. So
and then I honestly, Weissert came out for the 11th, and I was like, oh
no, man.
Oh, that's a choice. It's risky. And then sure enough, it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
This blew up in our faces. And so currently, as of recording, the Red Sox Tigers game is tied at 2.
2, yeah.
And which is, I think, actually pretty good considering that Tariq Skubal is pitching today.
Yeah, surprised. We took the first run off of him.
Yeah.
I mean, Hunter Dobbins is going today. Yeah, Devers. I mean, there's the one silver lining of all of this and all the mess of, is he playing first base? We're not winning games. We're this is a big series that we're looking like, hopefully we don't get swept. I mean, Devers has been swinging the stick well.
I mean, on the field, you can't tell that there's any drama whatsoever. I was just going to point out that his base running today was weirdly aggressive, and it was...
Yeah.
I mean, it worked out. I was very scared in the moment.
I don't mind it, though. Like, again, that is, if we were talking about last week, we were talking about team identity. Like, that is an identity of the team. Bro, Javier Baez, just so you know real quick, he's hitting right now.
Oh, God, yeah.
He is hitting .317 with an .863 OPS. Like, what the hell?
He's also sitting 8th in the lineup.
When did fucking 2017 Javier Baez come back? Like, what is going on?
I think moving him to center did something.
I don't know if he's just not a good infielder. I mean, he just popped up, so now average will drop a little bit. But anyway.
So the Red Sox are currently 500. They are 22-22.
Yes.
We are 3.5 games back from first place in the AL East, and we are a game and a half back of the 3rd wildcard spot.
Mm-hmm.
This game's also important because the Blue Jays are 1 win away from being 500.
Yeah.
So and also we lose, they win. We're in 3rd place.
Yeah. Also, I just want to, this is something that's really important that we've talked about. Good teams don't get swept. You can lose a series. The 2018 Red Sox got swept once, and it was at the end. They had already won like 103 games, and they played, I think it was the Rays. And they rolled out a couple of their starters. They had like, they had like Swihart hitting, I'm pretty sure. Like, they weren't playing like all their main guys, but good teams don't get swept. The Red Sox have not gotten swept this season.
Yeah.
So winning this game, this is the kind of thing, again, we're talking about when you look back at the end of the year. But like, if you can look back and say, fuck, thank God we won that one game in Detroit, that's crucial. And I do subscribe to that. Like, the good teams that have typically gone far in the playoffs or won the World Series, there's only a few, if any, sweeps on their record,
Yeah. No, I think it's a really good point. I am I'm still really frustrated. I'm also really confused by the Red Sox.
Mm.
This like as an organization. Like Sam Kennedy said like we want to win 90 to 95 games. We want to
It's
win
a
the
homer.
AL East.
Fuck. It's off the wall. Off the wall.
Still
Yeah.
not great. And like I believe Sam Kennedy when he says that because they then go and get
No, they
Bregman
backed it
and
up. They
Crochet.
backed it up. Yeah.
But now that like we're playing, like we're not running the team like we're trying to win 90 to 95 games. We're running it like it's another bridge year. And it's like I don't know what that's about.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
It does seem that way. It seems I think that the PR shitstorm that has happened to the Red Sox this year is a contributing factor because I don't know if I'm like in the organization, I'm like, bro, the whole first base thing is like the start of it. Like that is a winning organization move, getting someone over there first, bringing up one of these prospects who can rake, instantly adding, 2 to 3 wins to the record of the season. But yeah, I don't know. The bullpen management hasn't been great. It seems like, I don't really know though, because I also look at, I agree with you, but I also look at the team and I think what is within our disposal that we could do better. I think the big thing, I would love to get one of these young guys up. That's a team management thing that says we're trying to win now, is get the red hot guys in AAA and get them up. The bullpen management thing is tough because actually he's using Chapman in a lot of non-save situations, which historically Chapman hasn't been as good in non-save situations. He's been okay, but a lot of closers, that's the case. When the pressure's off, they're not quite as good.
Yeah.
And he's been really, really solid. Like Chapman's actually been great.
The bullpen has been it's really weird because like pieces of the bullpen have been good. Weissert, other than last night, has been good.
Yeah, that was tough last night.
And even he was like, I fucked that up. And like,
look, you're going to give up home runs. You're going to get walked off. It's going to happen.
These players, I think they know that they are way below where they should be.
They're underachieving.
I think they know that. I think they're pissed about it.
Yeah.
I'm just not seeing that translate into like motivation to, in fact, get better, or like it's not resulting in playing better.
Yeah, it's kind of it just seems like everyone's sort of slumping except for like Bregman. Like Campbell obviously had the home run yesterday, but he's been kind of sliding. Story has been like ice cold for like 4 weeks now. Besides Devers and Bregman, Duran hasn't been hitting as well these last, I'd say, 10 days. Abreu's been pretty good, pretty consistent. He hit a home run in this series, but there's really only... Actually, I take that back. There's been 4 guys because Narvaez is tearing the fucking cover off the ball too. Yeah. So then this is one just to, I know we've texted about this, to add to your point and to further sort of supplement the point you were making, the catcher thing, bro, play Narvaez every game. Like it's just not even a question. Did you know that Narvaez leads the major leagues in defensive runs saved by a catcher? The entire major leagues.
I had no idea. So, I feel like, and so I think the thing for me with all that's going on is the first place I look within the Red Sox organization when I think about the things that are frustrating me this season, the first place I look is Craig Breslow.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he's trying to do, and granted, this is what the Red Sox as an organization have said they want to do. I feel like he's trying to be both Chaim Bloom and Dave Dombrowski at the same time. And he's really good at being Chaim Bloom. He's not always very good at being Dave Dombrowski. Yeah. Right now, he needs to be more like Dave Dombrowski, and he's not doing it. He's being Chaim Bloom.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know, though, again, is that, what do you boil that down to? Is that a lack of ambition? Is that because there's so much bad PR this year, he's afraid to do something? Is it bad communication? Like, I agree with you, but I'm wondering the why.
I think it's an earnest attempt to straddle the two philosophies and be like, there's a middle between spending all this money and having to rebuild every 5 years,
5 years or less,
and being basically a major league team that is also a farm system for the other 29 teams like the Rays. Like, there's a middle there, and I think that they just haven't figured out the balance. They just haven't figured out that, like, we do have to, and it's also like maybe that's not like that's a cool idea, but maybe that's a philosophy that just doesn't work because you do have to spend capital from your farm system in order to get bigger, like more established guys who are veterans who can lead a team to a World Series.
Yeah. Also, dude, something interesting to consider, the sort of split approach. I like that terminology. Damn, Bregman homered again today. Jesus.
Yeah, he's on fire.
The Baltimore Orioles are a team, and he just hit a double in the gap. Dude, he is like absolutely roping the ball. It's a single.
Jeff Passan wrote a really, really great piece about him and how the hitting team here has really just like kind of helped him recapture the magic with his swing.
Because you know what's interesting? Sorry, I was going to make a thing about the Orioles, and I do want to come back to that. Yeah. Bregman's hitting to all fields now, which is really interesting. He was really a dead pull hitter for a long time, but he's hit a couple homers to right center. He sprayed the ball down the line, the first baseline. So anyway, the Baltimore Orioles, to me, straddled the line the last 3 or 4 seasons. I think they were bringing guys up. They have, like, obviously Gunnar Henderson. At one point, what was it, Austin Hayes, the first baseman, Ryan Mountcastle, their catcher, Adley Rutschman. Like, those are all farm guys. I think Cedric Mullins was a trade that they received. But
I don't remember.
Maybe he was their guy. But either way, they also picked up Corbin Burns. They also picked up...
but those were via trade.
Yeah, still though, putting a decent chunk of change on your payroll. Like, they went and got guys even through trade. It's not crazy amounts of money, but like they've had a bit of a split approach, and I actually think they're already looking at like blow it up, like time to rebuild it. Like it doesn't look good at all for them.
I don't know what's up with that organization this year. I'm really surprised.
What's their
payroll?
Might
just be kind of a freak accident. Not that they were good. Like I think that they're a good team. I think like this year is a fluke.
I mean, bro, they have $165 million payroll. Like, that's not small.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know, just for whatever reason, it's like the 2019 Red Sox, where it's like we are good, but we're not like good.
They're, I think, worse than that though. But anyway,
they are worse than that.
That split level approach is something that everybody wants to like have their cake and eat it too, and it really doesn't happen that often, you know?
The truth be told, like I think the only team that really does do the split like at its most is the Dodgers.
Yeah, they do.
They spend the money, but they also have an elite farm system.
Yeah, they spend money well. Like they have crazy talent.
Yeah, and I guess like I don't know. I think I agree. I feel like Craig is like trying to have his cake and eat it too, and
doesn't work.
Just not. It's not working right now. I'm gonna read a statement and then
you're
just gonna tell me whether you agree or disagree.
Okay.
So agree or disagree. Stopgap players like Hamilton and Sogard being up instead of Marcelo Meyer tell us that the Red Sox are not serious about making the playoffs.
I'm like 50-50 on that one. It's hard because, first of all, Sogard's actually playing really well.
But he's not Marcelo Meyer.
No. You know what makes this hard is kind of what we were talking about earlier. Is this about, and this is another question we asked for Jen, but is that because they're adamant about Roman Anthony is an outfielder and Marcelo Meyer is a middle infielder, and we are not shifting their position at all? We are not shifting, Christian Campbell's not playing first base, Marcelo Meyer's not playing first base, Roman Anthony's not DHing, because if that's the case, I don't agree, but I can't say that it is because they're not serious and not trying to win. I think there's some developmental, like, this is our long-term guy, we don't want to be fucking with them. I don't necessarily know if I believe that, which is why I lean more toward, what is it, true or false that we're saying? Or
agree or disagree.
Agree or disagree. I think I would say, I would lean toward, I agree that it means we're not as competitive, trying to be as competitive as we should be. Because, again, we've used examples last time of players coming up, Xander Bogaerts, and they're like, hey, bro, you got to play third base. You're blocked at short, but we need you in the lineup because we need to win games. So I would say I think that I lean toward they're not being as competitive as they should be.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that's really confusing is, like, I understand, and I don't totally disagree with, like, when we call these guys up, we want them to be starters, not on the bench.
Of course.
Like, that makes sense. But also it's like, okay, we don't want to switch them up, positionally. Okay, but you have, potential rookie of the year who you just signed to a 8 to 10 year extension at second. You have Trevor Story, who, if he doesn't opt out of his contract, is here for 2 more years. And then you have Alex Bregman at third, who, if he doesn't opt out, is here for 2 more years. Right. So, like, what is the plan then to get them up? Because you can't hold Marcelo Meyer down for 2 more years.
Well, they do that service time manipulation bullshit too. That could be part of it. I mean, I agree with that. But even if that's what their thinking is, that still is a yes to they're not being as competitive as they should be.
Yeah.
If you're more worried about the service time of a player than like, hey, we're in a fucking World Series window now and we can actually win if we bring these guys up, that does prove to me that you're more interested in the finances and not about winning, obviously. So I don't know. I mean, But
I think, like, if that's their logic about why these guys aren't up yet, then I think they have to also answer the follow-up question of like, okay, well, wait, what is the plan? Because these guys, the obstacles to keeping these guys from the big leagues right now are going to be obstacles, for 2 more years, in theory. So, what then? I guess. Shoot, I lost my train of thought.
Bro, it's so hard having really good players because Story hasn't been hitting as well, but like, fucking hell, you're going to take that guy off shortstop? Like, no fucking way. That guy is insane defensively.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't ask for anybody. We haven't had a crazy defensive shortstop in years. I mean, he's lockdown over there.
Yeah. I guess, like, it's the question that everyone in Red Sox Nation is kind of arguing about is, putting the best possible team on the fields and whether or not we're currently doing that. And I do think the best possible team for the Red Sox has, at the very least, it has Anthony. I'm pretty sure it has Meyer too.
Speaking of log jams, Cedon with an RBI single.
Yeah, I'm also making it
on
so
fire.
Difficult for.
That's what I'm saying, bro. The best hitters on the team are the guys that are log jamming these fucking positions. Like,
honestly, at this point, I've never been on board with the idea of moving Jarren Duran until this week, where I'm like,
maybe that's the move. Maybe he
is the most movable currently.
100%, dude. I agree.
Because
we put 3 on Scooble. I mean, this is like, and he's not.
Yeah,
he's an interesting potential trade case because
Duran, you mean?
Yeah, because he's obviously shown that he can do it at a really, really high level, and in clutch moments like the All-Star Game home run and stuff. Like he's not just he's not just like a one-time like, oh, I had a flash in the pan good season. Like he's definitely proven that he can be really effective. He steals bases, but like if Cedon keeps hitting the way he's hitting in the leadoff spot, if we put him in the leadoff spot, he's just as capable, if not more, than Duran of stealing tons of bases and making that first to third on a bloop into the right field. Like those things they share.
I actually think Cedon is a perfect 9-hole hitter for like this kind of new age of baseball. Because he is like a little washy on, sometimes he's like, unless you guys like need me to hit a double or a home run right now, I'm just not going to hit anything. Like,
it would end up being like they'll end up doing that thing like putting Anthony at leadoff if they bring him up, like the Kyle Schwarber.
I think Anthony's a cleanup guy. I think Meyer.
I think so, but here's the thing: this new thing with baseball is the power guys are hitting 1-2 instead of 3-4-5, which is really interesting.
Weird.
Like Schwarber's a leadoff hitter now.
Yeah, but also like Duran kind of does fit the classic profile of a leadoff guy.
Yeah, which I do like. I just think it's something that I'm noticing in baseball is like, wait, what the fuck? Like Devers is hitting second. He's been hitting second for a couple years, but like a couple years he was hitting fourth. So I mean, it's interesting. A few years ago,
like I just imagine a scenario where Duran gets moved, Devers agrees to play first, and then you have. I guess Meyer doesn't fit into this vision, but you have an outfield of Anthony, Rafaela, Abreu. You have Devers at first, and you have like Masataka Yoshida at DH. Tell me that that's not a better team than what we have now.
It is a much better team. It is a much better team.
Right. So like, what are we doing?
I agree.
I mean, we're not. I guess not. We're also not trading anybody in May, so that kind of answers its own question.
Yeah, and again, it comes down to like what we talked about in the last pod is like the who's dealing and who's not is still up for debate right now. We don't know who the sellers are. We don't know who's available. The things that we need. Oh, Jarren Duran an RBI single. I don't know. They're making it tough. Yeah, it's a one-run game now.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm glad we knocked Scooble out after.
Yeah. So we actually put 4. If Sadon scores, we put up 5 on Scooble. That's impressive, man.
Yeah. So that's the thing is like we get the shit kicked out of us, and then we're like, we're coming back. Like we refuse to.
Yeah. Now watch, we'll go sweep the next series, and we'll be like, we're back. Yeah, we're back. You know.
Yeah.
We also haven't swept. Have we swept anybody?
Not. No.
That's crazy.
In early June, we play the Angels, and then we play the Yankees, and then we play the Rays, and then we play the Yankees. And I'm looking at that, I'm like, that might be a stretch actually where we get really, really hot. Because there are some years, I think last year or the year before was a really good example of it, where we had a rough time with everybody else, but we had the Yankees.
Yes.
And I mean,
actually, we've had that for a couple years. 22,
well,
we also played the Yankees really well.
With the Yankees, it's like if you can, and this is a big if you can neutralize Aaron Judge, you're good.
Yeah.
Like that, the rest of that lineup is like average at best.
Yeah, I mean, Bellinger's not really swinging it like crazy. It's so funny, the whole torpedo bat thing. They were like, everyone's like, oh, fuck, the Yankees got the torpedo bat. Like, they're not really doing nothing with that.
Did you watch Oswaldo Cabrera's injury?
I was going to bring that up later. Yeah, it's horrible.
It's like you could see his ankle like hanging off.
That is that's just one of those things like when you watch baseball. We've had a couple of those. Oh, Devers with an RBI.
Dude.
Bro, tie game. Damn, we scored. We put up 5 on Scooble. That's amazing.
That's pretty awesome.
There was another injury a couple weeks ago. I can't remember who it was. Somebody else had like a nasty fucking baseball injury at the plate. And like,
oh, I thought you were making a joke about it being Casas, but I don't know who you're
talking about. I mean, well, that's another one, but that's a little bit different because it's not like I guess Oswaldo's wasn't necessarily a contact.
No, his was just him running to the.
Yeah, so Casas is another good example. We've seen 3 of these. Like, those are football injuries. You know what I mean? Like, you don't expect to see that when you watch baseball. You expect to see, like, oh, my arm's sore, maybe get a concussion diving into a bag and getting a hard tag in the head, like, stuff like that. But,
yeah. By the way, real quick, I know John Boy's really big on this. He talked about it again after Casas got hurt. What do you think of, like, the double bag at first?
I think they should do it.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. We have a couple fields that we play at that have it, and I honestly, I play first base. I love it.
I mean, I think, because let me ask you this, like, when there's a runner on first and he goes, like, is the second base on the other side of the foul line basically out of, like, no longer a thing once he's on first?
Correct.
Okay.
You can't, like, the only person who has access to the outside base is the runner coming down the first base line.
Gotcha.
The reason that I've heard that they haven't done it is because there's those rules about where you're allowed to run in the baseline, and that might shift it a little bit, but...
Then shift a little bit. I also, my guess is like, I thought it was like, there's some like fucking men out there who are like, the girls in softball are the ones who came up with that idea. We can't.
Yeah, that's probably a thing, but whatever. The girls in softball get injured a lot less than the guys do. Yeah. So let's take a page out of their book and stop being ridiculous.
Their pitching motion doesn't rip their elbow out.
Yeah, I mean, I just read something crazy on the side note about a 15-year-old who's in Texas. He's been recruited by like every D1 school. He's going to get drafted. He throws 100, and he just had his first preemptive Tommy John surgery. I mean, that's just like insane.
Good.
That's insane.
Not healthy. Anyway, happy belated birthday to Roman Anthony.
Happy birthday.
He was Monday. He's 21. He's now old enough to drink.
All right.
Which is,
team. You know the fucking, when he gets up, the guys are gonna be like, y'all, you got to take us out to the bar and you're paying.
Yeah. I mean, he loves the team, and the team loves him.
He does.
It's so crazy that he's like, I mean, Worcester's not like far away from Boston, but it's crazy that he's stuck there.
Yeah.
Okay. Another agree or disagree. Alex Cora being a player's manager isn't always a good thing because he lets everyone play instead of fielding the best team.
Fuck, these are really good. I'm going to disagree on that one, and here's why. I think, again, there's a level where it goes a little too far, and maybe he's crossed that a little bit this year, but for the most part, I think people like playing for the Red Sox partially for that reason. And that is important in terms of A, recruitment of players, and B, I look at that 2018 team a lot, and I think like the guys that got hot at the right times, I definitely think AC had some serious encouragement and some part to play in that. Now, where I would say it's a problem, and it's not the in theory of it, like it's not him being a player's manager, it's maybe how much of it he is, you know, how to what level he's a player's manager maybe gets him into trouble a little bit. But I also do think he's a pretty good tactical manager too. Like he's shown in the past a really good ability to manage the bullpen. He's shown a pretty good ability to like pick the right guys to pinch hit at the right times. He did it with Abreu last year a number of times. Yeah, I would say like a mild, that's like a soft disagree. That's where I would go with that. What do you think?
I wrote the question. I kind of agree with it. I also, again, wrote it. Granted, he played really well last night, but I don't understand the rationale of putting David Hamilton on the starting lineup.
Yeah, he was at shortstop yesterday too.
He was. I mean, Story's been cool, but I still...
And then he needs a day off every once in a while. That's fine, but...
I would rather, I'd rather it be Meyer doing what David Hamilton's doing.
So then that comes into an interesting... I was going to bring that up. That comes into an interesting point. Is that the front office or is that Cora? Is that the front office
telling him... No, I think Hamilton
him...
being up is the front office.
Right.
But I think playing him at the frequency and starting him a lot is Cora. Granted, again, David Hamilton played really well last night, but I think to kind of your point, like if this team is going to get going and it's going to get hot and win a bunch of games, I think there has to be some kind of stability there of this is our starting, 9. And once that clicks, okay, then we can start to play around. It's kind of a thing that almost, and that doesn't become like earned, but the team has to be comfortable enough where, swapping out Campbell or Story for Hamilton doesn't immediately make everyone kind of tense up.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's why I say soft disagree. I see where you're coming from, but it's not. I don't know. Look, I love baseball. I would never want to be a big league manager, bro. Fuck that. Like, that is so much pressure. And there's 25 guys on a major league roster. There's 40 guys on the roster overall. Like, that's a lot of people to deal with. There's a lot of ego, a lot of personality. Like, imagine being...
And then you're owned by a billionaire who, of course,
who is also telling you what to do. Yeah. Like, that guy's like, no, you can't bring up the player you want. Devers, I want him to play at first, but the owner is like talking to him, but then Cora's like, I don't know if I agree with that. Like, it's a hard job.
Okay, wait. Last one. Cool. Agree or disagree? If the Red Sox miss the playoffs or they make the playoffs with 86 wins or fewer, Craig Breslow should be fired.
Fuck, that's a good question too. I'm going to say if they make the playoffs at all, no, he shouldn't be fired. So I have like a caveated answer. It's not just an outright yes or no, but
that's fine.
Damn, Tommy Kahnle is killing it this year. What? 1.2 ERA.
A Yankee anymore.
Yeah, crazy. He's still got the high socks.
Abreu with the bases loaded.
Yeah, I know. We love this. There might be some shouting coming in a second. I've also got the Celtics on the side TV here, and
oh god, aren't they about to get
Well, I'm gonna do the Rose and Thorn thing, but shout out to my boy Jason Tatum who tore his Achilles. He's gonna miss all of next.
Dude, that's just like
double play. No,
fucking Christ.
He might have been safe. They might look at that. I will answer your question momentarily. I want to see what happens here. Jason Tatum fell and tore his Achilles at the end of the game last week, and
that's awful.
Yeah. He's out. Double play. Okay.
Yeah. Damn it.
If they make the playoffs at all, I'm still gonna give him a shot. Like the St. Louis Cardinals won the World Series, I think winning 86 games one year.
I think it was fewer than that.
It might have been 84. Like
I'm gonna look that up because I think it was fewer.
Amount of wins World Series winning team. I think it's 84.
83.
Get the fuck out of here. Yeah. And then the New York Mets won. Yep. That's
the 06 World Series sucked.
Yeah, it was boring as shit. So look, I mean, at the end of the day, if you make the playoffs, you make the playoffs. I don't like the NFL thing where you have a losing record or like a 500 record. Like, but if you're 6 games or 4 games or whatever above 500 and you squeak in, that's fine. I do think if we don't make the playoffs this year and it's going to look largely on the back of all this Devers shenanigans, that is a huge problem, and that might be something where he loses his job. I don't think that would happen, though. I would give him a minimum of 1 more year, but it's tough because he did actually go for it. Like, I can't look at him and be like he did the Chaim Bloom thing where he was sort of like, I'm just going to pull a couple of strings. Like, he did go for it this year. But we don't want to be, we were talking about them earlier, we don't want to be the Baltimore Orioles. Like, oh, we got into like a playoff series and we keep losing. Like, that's not what we're going for either. So I would say any playoff berth, his job is definitely safe. Any lack thereof, I wouldn't say I would fire him, but it's like, this is, you're on notice here.
I actually agree with that. I think if the Red Sox don't, I mean, the thing is, there will be riots in the streets if the Red Sox don't make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
And they will demand a head, and it's like, that is the easiest head to give them. Like, we're not firing Alex Cora.
No, he has a 5-year contract. He's not going anywhere.
So maybe, I think honestly, the only other thing other than making the playoffs that is protecting Craig Breslow's job is the fact that nobody wants the job.
Yeah.
Like, they hired him after going to, I think, like 5 or 6 different candidates, all of them who were like, what, it could be the GM for 3 years and then get fired? No, thank you. So
yeah, it's been sort of a thankless position for a little bit of time.
Yeah. So I think like there's protection kind of in that, in a way, where like I don't think the Red Sox want to go out and find a new chief baseball officer.
Yeah.
But I think it would be like, okay, if you don't make the playoffs and like maybe even like if you don't win the pennant in 2026, like your ass is out.
Yeah,
like
I think that's probably right.
And do whatever you have to do.
Well, here's the thing. So there has to be a ladder climb of expectations. So like last year we were 500. The year before we were below 500. So like we've already moved up the ladder. And I would say in terms of off-season doings, spent a lot of money on a free agent, picked up a great piece in a trade and gave him money, extended our best rookie. Like we've done stuff in this off-season / early season that does show me that he gives a shit. So the ladder climb now has to be above 500, make the playoffs, I think, like that world. If next year it's the same, like then we can't just be an 86 win team every single year like that. So I think it has to continue to level up. I don't think it's realistic to expect 95 wins and right away. That does happen to some teams, but I do agree with you that like there is a higher bar now. Like we can't be, oh no fucking way. Oh my god! Oh my god!
All right,
oh my god!
Give me a second. I'm behind.
Oh my fucking goodness!
All right.
Oh my god!
Oh fuck! That is a tank. Wait,
bro, look at this.
Wait.
Look at this.
What the fuck? Are you
fucking kidding my me? God! Wilyer Abreu and Cedar Rafaela just made the play of the season.
Oh my god!
Wilyer robbed a home run. It popped out of his glove, and Cedar was there to pick it up in the air.
Oh
what
my
a
God.
fucking play. Are you kidding me? Bro, they can't trade these guys.
They can't trade those guys.
They can't trade these guys. Come on. I mean, like, this is insane.
What
a play from Abreu, dude.
I was not prepared for whatever you were excited about. I was like, okay, it's going to be a nice catch by Abreu, and then it just... That was...
What in the fuck was that? Listeners, sorry for my cursing, but holy Moses.
Dude, Sadan is like... amazing.
Wait, this play is under review for what? What a play.
No.
Dude, what a play by Abreu to get to that ball. Are you kidding me?
Have you seen the how like when they win games how the outfielders celebrate as Duran?
Yeah, of course.
It really brings me back, man. It brings me back to the
it's a win dance repeat.
Yeah. Yeah, for a second there I'm like, wait, we're shitting on this team?
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, now it's like they're suddenly like, "Fuck yeah!" So anyway, let's just to close it out. I think, I don't think he's gonna get fired, but I think it's on like you're on review if you don't do a good job. You know, if they go around, fuck around, and win like 72 games or some shit, then like that's different. But
no, I think, I mean, I think maybe if they miss the playoffs, the odds are high. I think if they end with a record, the same record or worse, then it's definitely like we're kicking the bucket.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool. Do you want to talk MLB stuff before we?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. So we talked about the Oswaldo Cabrera injury already. DJ LeMahieu is coming back now because of that, which is like very funny to me. Have you seen the Mets broadcast the SNY broadcast for the Mets games? They are cinematic as fuck.
Really?
Like they've figured out how to do like these split diopter camera shots. Split diopter, for those of you who don't know, is like where you have a lens that has that half of the glass is different of a different lens size than the other. So you get basically a different on the right side of the screen, you get a different foreground than you get on the left side of your screen. And they've been doing just these other kind of like camera tricks and stuff that have been setting it up like the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like it's a face off between the pitcher and the batter. It's really neat.
I'll have to check that out.
I'm gonna go ahead and just like probably give my rose to that.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah. What did you want to talk about?
I mean, I obviously have to bring up the injury. We talked about it a little bit already, but that's just so horrible. I mean, you just hate. It's just so. Baseball is not a sport where you're supposed to see that, and that's just really, really tough. And he's young, right? I mean, how old is Cabrera? He's
definitely
like 26, 25.
He's definitely
that's just
youngin'.
Brutal. What else do I want to talk about?
26.
I think we have an interesting. I mean, we talked about the Orioles. We have an interesting development to me, just the AL East as a whole, not actually being very good. Like that to me is really strange. The AL Central is really good. Yeah. The National League West is unbelievable. Sans the Colorado Rockies.
That's where I was going to actually go next. Is the Rockies fired Bud Black?
I saw that.
Which is it doesn't help.
Nope, not his fault at all. Literally not his fault, even a little bit.
It's not even like putting a Band-Aid on a like gunshot wound. It's like
doing nothing to a gunshot.
It's like doing
wound.
nothing.
Yeah. Do you know their owner? Did you know their owner, Dick Monfort, he answers fan emails? Did you know that?
Dude, his inbox must be crazy.
And he'll email back like there was something about, I saw this thing like someone emailed him. There's been in the offseason this year, there's been speculation that Juan Soto is going to command, $40 million a year or more. The Rockies have this opening on payroll. Is that something you'd be willing to do? And he basically responded like, fuck no. Like he responded back like, not going to happen.
But that's also a stupid thing to ask.
Yeah, of course.
Like, of course.
But I think it's crazy. Like he just answers fans' emails.
So Dave Roberts was asked about Bud Black getting fired. Also, the sun is hitting my neck right now. It's driving me crazy.
Man.
Dave Roberts was asked about Bud Black getting fired, and Roberts was the bench coach when Black was managing the Padres. So they are like very close. And Dave Roberts said, quote, "I don't think Casey Stengel could change the outcome of that ball club."
No,
not
bro,
the manager's fault.
That is such a I mean, it's like you said, someone has to take the fall, and that's the easiest guy. They're not. What's their GM's name?
I don't know. I think it's like, do they have one? Is it not like just?
Yeah, I think they do, but I can't remember who it is. But it's a name that I would remember and recognize. But anyway, it's like he's the guy that should probably go. But it's someone has to take the fall.
Well, I mean, like I think ownership should just
sell the team.
Sell the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's tough. Yeah, I mean that's kind of it. I feel like we already had a little bit of a podcast this weekend, so I have less.
I have two more things actually.
Sure, go for it.
One being Lance McCullers Jr. getting death threats because his first start back.
I missed that.
Yeah, so Lance McCullers
see that in the outline.
Was as an Astros pitcher who hasn't pitched since 2022.
Yeah.
He had Tommy John surgery. He had setbacks. His first start went very poorly against the Reds. They lost 13-9, and he received death threats aimed at him and his kids.
What?
For his poor start. So MLB and local
from
law
Houston fans.
I think so, yeah. Are investigating. So, like, from The Athletic, he's quoted, Lance McCullers is quoted saying, "I think bringing kids into the equation, threatening to find them, or next time they see us in public, they're going to stab my kids to death. It's tough to hear as a dad."
Yeah.
Like, what? Why are sports fans so eager to act
I hate to
like
say
fucking psychos?
I hate to like pick on a fan base specifically, but bro, Astros fans are like the worst. They're the worst.
Yeah.
Oh my God. When they got caught cheating, they were like fucking so horrible about it. They were like rubbing it in. You guys are a bunch of pussies, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, you guys cheated. Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't say I'm surprised. I knew a fair number of Astros fans and they all kind of behave. Most of the ones that I knew that were real fans like behaved like that. I mean, that's just, I don't know what it is, but
and he was pissed, rightfully. I'm like, it's like, guys, it's a game. It's a goddamn game. Like, we're doing this for fun. Like,
that's insane. I mean, that's really insane.
People are really, I think, awful. I mean, I do also kind of, this is me getting on my soapbox. Like, I think this is a product of like just how online we are. We're so desensitized to
keyboard
whether or not we're
warrior
actually
shit.
hurting other people's feelings.
That's crazy though. That's like he played bad, so they fucking wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a distaste for a lot of Houston. Not all of them, but I have experienced a lot of bad Astros fans, is all I'll say. I went to Fenway a bunch of times. We played them, and their fans were like fucking crazy.
Yeah. The last thing I wanted to bring up, Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson are no longer on the ineligible list.
I mean, Shoeless Joe makes sense. Shoeless Joe didn't even fucking cheat. Like, he was like not a part of that.
But they can now be elected to the Hall of Fame.
Pete Rose is a different situation because he like had sex with a minor, so that's like kind of a whole different can of worms. But
I was thinking about this last night. I was like, I think I've talked about this on the pod before, and I don't think I was very clear in my point. I don't think the betting is not what I.
No,
like,
I
the betting
agree.
is not
I
the
agree.
thing. Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame regardless of the gambling. Pete Rose should not be in the Hall of Fame because he's a pedophile.
Yeah, I agree. The thing that's hard though is like I think we've had this discussion before. The thing that's hard about it is like Ty Cobb is in the Hall of Fame and he was like a fucking crazy racist and like you know, it is there's guys in there who have pretty flawed character. Obviously being a pedophile is like
I think we can draw
that's
the
deep
line
that's deeper than flawed. But like being a super outspoken racist, like that's not you know. And I mean, people say, well, the times were different. And I'm like, yeah, but there were people back in that time that knew not to do that shit, you know?
Yeah. But I think in this era specifically, like...
Yeah, it's unacceptable.
We can understand...
fucking unacceptable.
We can understand racism, but like, okay, he got into the Hall of Fame back in the day and he was a raging racist. We can choose to whether or not to let in a pedophile now.
Yeah, that's true. I would not let him in. I would not let him in.
Yeah.
I wouldn't let him in.
I really am like... I don't want to be debating Pete Rose being in the Hall of Fame. Get me Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame.
There's other people that are not in that we should be talking about before Pete Rose.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to do Rose and Thorn?
Sure. My thorn is going to be, again, it's a motivational thorn. It's the thorn of the situation of the Cabrera injury. Obviously, that's just so horrible, and it's a thorn in the game of baseball because you just hate to see that. It just sucks, and nobody wants to see that. And obviously, I hate the Yankees as much as every other Red Sox fan, but nobody wants to see that. And I really just, pray for him and hope he gets better as soon as possible and gets back to the field as healthy as he was before. So that's just a huge bummer. My rose, who's my rose? Oh, dude, you know who my fucking rose is? Cal Raleigh.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, because
Bro.
The guy I'm thinking of.
He's the catcher for Seattle. Cal Raleigh right now has 13 home runs. I think he's tied for second in the major leagues or in the American League with home runs. This is a guy who had to fight tooth and nail to get a big contract. He's a catcher. Catchers don't usually get crazy money like that. He's a switch hitter, which I love. We love a good switch hitter. And his nickname, I don't know if you're aware of this, is the Big Dumper.
Oh, yeah, because he's got a big ass.
Yes, the Big Dumper. So Cal Raleigh, I'm just a huge fan of yours. I love the fact that you're mashing, and I love when a guy gets a big contract and then plays better than they were playing before. Like most of these guys, as soon as they get the bag, they're like, I don't give a fuck anymore. So I'm a big Cal Raleigh fan. That's my rose.
So real quick, Cal Raleigh is fourth in all of baseball. He's tied for fourth, and I'm curious if you know who he's tied with and who's above him.
In home runs?
Yeah.
Judge is above him?
Mm-hmm.
Is Soderstrom still up there?
No.
Oh, so he's cooled off. Jeez, I have no idea.
You want me to tell you?
Yeah, tell me.
Okay, so uh he is tied with Eugenio Suarez.
Oh
They
yeah,
both
of
have
course, of
13
course.
home runs. Corbin Carroll has 14,
Yeah,
and
he's been
then
killing it.
Aaron Judge is tied with Carl Schwarber for 15.
Yeah, Kyle Schwarber's killing it.
Yeah.
What
So
a talk about one of the worst Red Sox mistakes ever is to not
he
bring that guy back.
is hitting free agency at the end of the year.
Pick him up.
I mean, where would we put him?
Bro, he could play first base. Shit.
Put him back.
He's already done it.
Put him back at first, yeah.
Yeah.
Hit me with your rose.
That was my rose. Cal Raleigh.
Oh, right.
Yeah. All right,
okay.
You're up.
I would say yeah, my rose I think still goes to the Mets broadcast because I think
I love that. That's great.
Base it up the middle.
Yeah, we got two guys on.
Thorne I'm gonna give to Rob Manfred because I just with the Pete Rose thing, I'm like, why did you didn't have to do that?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, it opens up a very weird conversation because again, it's like Bonds isn't on the restricted list, but he's not going to get in. Yeah. Watch Pete Rose get in before Barry Bonds. Like, that's crazy. So if that does happen, it's like, come on, man.
And now, our interview with Jen McCaffrey. Jen McCaffrey, thank you so much for being here. I guess my first question is, you were featured pretty heavily in the Netflix series, and I'm just curious, what was that experience like?
Yeah, it was definitely weird. I'm not used to being on the other side of the, I guess, interviewing process or like microphone. But yeah, I mean, initially in the beginning, having all the cameras around definitely took some getting used to. And those sit-down interviews I did were, yeah, another kind of strange aspect of it. We kind of got used to it by the end of the season, but it was definitely kind of nice to not have all of that around this year and just be able to interview players without, it feeling like cameras were always watching you or kind of always being around. So, yeah.
Yeah, I bet. So this year, the Red Sox seem to be off to as good a start as they have been the last couple of years, despite adding Bregman and Crochet. Expectations were definitely higher going into this season, though, and I'm just curious, have you noticed what effect this has had, if any, on the team off the field?
Yeah, I don't. It's hard to say if like what effect it's had in the clubhouse. I think it's definitely been a disappointing start to the year in a lot of ways, just because you added Crochet and Bregman, and had Campbell in the mix as one of these top prospects that's they are going to be relying on in the future. They signed him to that big deal, and Crochet too. So there was so much momentum going into the year, and then it kind of like peters out, and now they're like a 500 team like they have been, and it's kind of like what's the thing that's going to change here? Why is this still the way it is? So I think all the guys in the clubhouse, I've been doing this for a long time and try to maintain the thought process. It's a long season, but the season's pretty much a quarter of the way done at this point, so they can't really wait too much longer to pick things up. So yeah, I think it's just there's frustration that they can't they can't string together some of these wins, and it's just kind of two steps forward, one step back.
As far as goals for the organization, I think a lot of teams go into the season with different goals, and I do hear the term World Series or bust. Is the Red Sox organization looking at this season because of, like you mentioned, the acquisitions in the offseason they made, picking up Alex Bregman and getting Garrett Crochet? Are we looking at this year as a, make a deep run into the playoffs essentially or bust? Or are they looking at potentially a playoff berth and a first round exit as a success based on the last few seasons not being as great as I think we would all have hoped?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're always going to say they're, shooting for the World Series, but realistically, if they just make it, that's, way better than they've been the last few years. I mean, right. I don't think that they necessarily want to say that they're like only shooting for a wild card spot and, losing the first game. But yeah, like the way things are going this year and the way things have gone the past few years, I feel like it's, it would be, highly unlikely if they made it to the World Series. So I feel like it's more of like a pie in the sky. We'd love that to be, our realistic goal, but it's not seemingly realistic. I think just making it in and knowing how much of a crapshoot the playoffs have been, the last few years, and how some of these out of nowhere teams like Arizona a couple years
right.
ago, just can kind of string things together. So I think that might be more the mindset, not that they want to acknowledge that publicly, though.
Right. And I do want to know, this is more of a general baseball question, but how many teams, I think like you said, there's a lot of teams that come out and they say, yeah, we got to make it to the World Series this year. But how many teams in your experience, doing this and writing for The Athletic and working in baseball actually have a World Series or bust mentality? Like how many teams in the front office, they're actually coming into the season saying like, this has to be a World Series year?
I mean, I think that's the goal for every team, but like probably, the Dodgers, I
Right.
guess you could say the Yankees to an extent, but they really
Right.
haven't done it much lately. So, I mean, I
Mm-mm.
feel like people outside always think that they're, going to be the ones gunning. And obviously without, some of their top guys this year, with Cole and Heel hurt and all that, they're kind
Mm-hmm.
of, you know, I don't know how realistic that is for them either. So
Mm-hmm.
I think the Dodgers probably could be the only one just coming off of
Interesting.
last year and just the way they are. It's a tough question, but like I think that would be my kind of assumption.
Cool.
I want to piggyback off of Harry's question here. If the Red Sox don't make the playoffs this year, is Craig Breslow or even Alex Cora's, would they either of them find themselves in the hot seat at all?
Yeah, definitely. I
Wow.
think it's a huge year for Cora. You could say, just that's the one thing that's been the same. They've been changing the team, and changing the front office, but he's been the consistent piece here. And why haven't they gotten, over the edge? I think he's starting to feel a little bit of that heat. And, I think he's still highly respected, and I still think he's a good manager and communicator. But at the same time, um, you know, so was Francona when they fired him. And,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of, just nuance that kind of goes into this job. I think he knows that. And so I think he's trying to get the most out of these guys, but sometimes it just, doesn't happen. So obviously there's a lot, 120 games or so left of the season. And he can 100%, show that he can continue to be the guy that they need. Obviously, he signed that contract extension, but guys get fired all the time in the middle of contracts. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I think yes, this is a pretty big year for him, and just a big, off season coming up. Depending on how the team does, if they finish again, 500 or below and miss the playoffs, there's going to be a lot of heat. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
with Breslow, yeah, I mean, I guess, it's been 2 years and he's done some things. I feel like if it were one or the other, it would probably be at this point more so the heat's on Cora. That just seems how it is right now. So we'll see if that continues or if he gets, the team to turn around and, make this magical playoff run, and then we'll, be talking about him staying for another 10 years. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
we'll see where that goes, but I could very much envision that being something that's talked a lot about towards the end of the year if it keeps going the way it's gone.
We'd be crazy not to ask about everything going on with Rafael Devers and first base. Is there any update as to where kind of that conversation is at this point? And I was wondering if you could speak at all about how the one-on-one meeting between John Henry and Devers went last week in Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, there's no update. Devers won't talk about it. I haven't been with the team this week, so they come back on Friday for a 10-game homestand. So I'm sure he'll get asked a lot more, but I know he hasn't talked yet, or hasn't talked since last Thursday when he told us right before they headed out on the road trip that he was not happy with the whole situation. So nothing's really changed on that front. Cora's addressed it a few times and just said that, he's still DHing and they're going ahead with, Toro and Sogard right now at first base, still looking for outside help. So pretty much status quo. And as far as the John Henry meeting, I mean, they were pretty tight-lipped about that too. Henry didn't even talk to the media, as he hasn't in quite a while, but Breslow kind of relayed that it was just a candid exchange. He wouldn't really dig too much into what they talked about. He did interestingly note that they talked about what it means to be a good teammate, which leads you to believe that
Mm.
they think Devers should step up. At least that's kind of how I read it. But other than that, haven't been able to get really any information about what that was like, or what went into it. But either way, it's pretty. I'd say it is unprecedented for Henry to kind of go fly to a road city to meet with a disgruntled player. That's never happened in the tenure, that he's been with the team. I can't think of any
Mm.
situations off the top of my head. So, yeah, it's I would say it's pretty tense right now, and we'll see what this homestand does and how they play, and kind of go from there.
Are you thinking that Rafael Devers, if he were to take first base position and agree to play, is Rafael Devers to first base a solution in your mind for only this year, or do you think that's something that the front office would ideally have him do for the next, the remainder of his contract, or at least the next 3 to 4 years, assuming Casas does not return to the player that he was pre-injury?
Yeah, I mean that's the question nobody knows. Like,
Right.
what are you gonna get out of? Yeah, what's Costas's future? How's he gonna recover from this? Like, if you do move Devers over there, do you only do it for a year? What about Bregman? Like, he's only, he's here for a 3-year deal, or like it signed a 3-year deal, but
He has the
is
opt out.
almost certainly gonna opt out at the end of the year. The way he's playing, and especially the way the
Mm,
team's playing.
wow.
So do they, are they going to see if they want to move Devers back to third, or is Meyer going to, get promoted and play third?
Wow.
There's all these variables up in the air right now, and I think I think that's probably all the things they're factoring in. So yeah, I can't even answer it because I think it's just such a, um, it's only been like, I guess, a week into this process, or 2 weeks since Costas got hurt, and a week since, Devers expressed his frustration. So I think it's one of those things we kind of have to see play out. We have to see how Casas, continues to rehab. I think
Mm.
they're kind of, I think that they're kind of banding about all these ideas, but there's a lot of variables that are affecting, a lot of different areas of the team right now.
Yeah, and just a quick follow up to that is, do you think there's a legitimate chance, like even if Devers wants to play first base and maybe seems still kind of upset about it, do you think there's a legitimate chance that they make a move? I know there's not that many first basemen. I think Rhys Hoskins, who is on a winning team, is the only one that I can think of off the top of my head. But is there a chance that they go for a first baseman during the deadline, or is that sort of, again, like a maybe? We'll see.
Yeah, I think there's always a chance. I think, I think depends on where the team is at. If they're still competitive, I'm sure, but if they're
Right.
like way out of it, they
Yeah,
might
forget
end
it.
up being, yeah, exactly, sellers than anything else. So, yeah, I think it's like kind of we're in that limbo stage of the season where there's been enough games played, but not enough, and there are these major storylines, but they're trying to decide what to do.
You mentioned the Bregman contract, and I was just wondering, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being absolutely not going to happen, 10 being it's a certainty, what's the likelihood that Bregman and Story opt out of their respective deals after this
Mm.
season?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it all depends on kind of like how the rest of the year goes. I guess if you're just looking at like right now, if, I were him and I was playing the way that I am, and, the team is playing the way that it is, then it would be like, why not? Why would you not opt out, right? And
Mhm.
find a bigger, better, longer contract with a better team. But again, like, say they turn things around and go on this crazy run, and he seems to genuinely like it here, and
Mm-hmm.
like the future, and like the young, Anthony and Meyer and Campbell and the young prospects that he bonded with in spring training. So I do think there's something to be said for that. And obviously his relationship with Cora. But like, if it gets to the end of the year and it seems like Cora's not going to be around and the team's doing bad and he had a really good year, then yeah, I mean, like,
Mhm.
I feel like it'd be an obvious opt out situation. So yeah, and Story, I mean, is sort of in the opposite camp because he hasn't been doing as well, and was kind of has this deal in place already. So I don't know what would be the benefit for him. But yeah, there's those are all obviously questions we'll have to deal with in the second half and later in the season.
We on our podcast are big fans of Carlos Narvaez. We love him. We think he's an amazing player. We think he seems to have, from the outside, ostensibly a really good relationship with the pitching staff. And I wanted to know, to the best of your knowledge, what kind of relationship does Narvaez have with the pitching staff, and how does that differ, or is it similar to Connor Wong's relationship with the staff?
Yeah, it seems like, at an early stage in his career, he'd only played like 6 games before this,
Mm-hmm.
major league games with the Yankees, that he's really has a kind of a mature way of handling the staff and game planning and game calling and, just the presence behind the plate. And yeah, I mean, I think the pitchers, have liked throwing to him, but I don't think that they don't like throwing out to Wong either. I think Wong's kind of anchored things for a while back there and has honestly been teaching Narvaez a lot of things that he's sort of picked up. And I think it's just kind of that's the way he is. Narvaez is in terms of just being able to implement things quickly. So, yeah, I think it's been, obviously he's shown what he can do, really well early on. And so I think it's just kind of one of those things that they need to keep seeing more out of him and have him continue to develop behind the plate there. But it seems like it's been, working so far for them, and just need to kind of continue in that same direction.
And I'm curious, like, it seems like there's not a quote unquote everyday catcher right now. It seems like the two of them are in a platoon. If things were to get a little bit better, and let's say we're 10 games or more above 500 come trade deadline, do you think the club would be in a position to make a move for like a left-handed hitting catcher and switch that platoon up a little bit, or do you think they're happy with the platoon that they have of Wong and Narvaez?
Yeah, it's possible. I think it, kind of depends on where things are at, like you said, and just, I guess if they got to that point with that duo, then maybe why change things, because that means that they've been doing well. So I guess it all depend on kind of, where the team is at that point and kind of, what things look like in a month and a half or 2 months. Like if, the ideal situation is to have a left and a right guy kind of behind the plate, but, not every team has that. Not every successful team has that. So right. I think, I think they can, they're fine to work with what they have, but if there is an opportunity to improve, then I'm sure they'd look for it.
I just have only one question about Roman Anthony, believe it or not. I know everyone's wondering when he's going to come up. I know that that's a mystery. But I'm wondering, do you think, and do the Red Sox think, that they can configure a roster that includes Roman Anthony without having to move one of the current outfielders?
I mean, I guess the only scenario would be to, if Devers was going to play first base, to have Anthony like DH and play the outfield in some sort of rotation. But I mean, that gets a little crowded because you've already got 4 guys there. Yeah. So, I mean, I think they don't want to call him up to just sit on the bench. And if he's only going to DH like a handful of games, a week, like they don't want that. And they value his defense a lot. So I do think that they need to have kind of an outfield spot for him. And just to kind of get those everyday reps, like it may seem like he's wasting time in AAA, but they also don't have, the consistent at-bats for him, and they don't want him to come up here and be sitting on the bench and not continuing to progress. So, I mean, I think there's either going to be an injury in the outfield or there's going to be a trade. And I think, that's the only way that he's going to be able to get up here, really, unless,
wow.
Something, I mean, I think that's pretty, that's, I think the only thing that, you can look to, because otherwise, what are you going to do? So
right. Rafaela and Abreu are not making it easy at all.
No.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, especially Rafaela. I mean, you kind of always were relying on, Duran and Abreu. And Rafaela was kind of the X factor of like, he needs to be better, needs to hit better at least. His defense has been so good, but, and he's kind of, picked it up and, been in just some of the play that he had last night with Abreu, just backing
Unbelievable.
up. Yeah, being a guy that is has the wherewithal to be backing up, and knowing. I mean, obviously some of that was luck, but I mean, a lot of it is just his instincts. So, I mean, I think they, as much as like they wish he were more consistent at the plate, like he is so valuable in just knowing how he saves runs for pitchers and makes them more comfortable out there. And they all the pitchers talk about that. So that kind of those are the things I think you don't think about as, a fan when you're wanting a prospect to get called up, of kind of like what the other side of it is and kind of what Rafaela brings on that side of things.
I have kind of a unusual question. So my wife is from Australia, and so I'm very fascinated and enamored by Liam Hendriks. I always have been, even pre-Red Sox, and then when we picked him up, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's awesome. I've just wanted to know, I know it's talked about in the documentary a little bit, he's obviously been through some incredible adversity. Like he had cancer, he had to deal with his Tommy John recovery. Can you talk a little bit about Hendricks' character and how he's dealt with setbacks to make it back to a big league roster? I mean, I think he's like comeback player of the year candidate, and I would just love to hear more about that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, to see what he's done, beating cancer, then coming back, and then Tommy John, a month later, and then, on the sidelines for whatever it was, 14 months, rehabbing from Tommy John, and even the blip that he had in spring training with the nerve compression and coming back from that, he's looked really good. I don't think people anticipated him being this good and consistent, but it just kind of speaks to kind of who he is, and the length. He obviously had a lengthy career before all of this, so he's had the experience and kind of knows how to navigate a lot of the kind of the ups and downs of things. And I think he's a good voice, I think, in the clubhouse, a big voice, but like I think he's also, the team kind of needs someone like that to give them a jolt of energy and, just kind of keep things loose too when it's not going great. So I think he'll continue to get more of those high leverage spots. Obviously, Whitlock and Slayton have kind of gone through their ups and downs. So I wouldn't be surprised for him to kind of, see more of the back end, high leverage spots in games. Just one, because he has his track record, but two, like he's done well over the first, month and a half here. So he's a super interesting guy, and it's been cool to see him be able to kind of like resurrect his career like once again, and just be able to bounce back from all this that he's gone through.
It's amazing. We always talk about like the pipeline from the Australian League to the major leagues is such an unusual one. Like there's not really that. I don't think he might be the only one. There might be one or two others, but there's not many players that play baseball in Australia, let alone make it to the major league. So it's just really cool to have him on our team.
Over Thanksgiving last year, Red Sox Twitter kind of blew up because we somehow convinced ourselves we were getting Juan Soto. And there was a lot of misinformation and disinformation all around the internet surrounding that. And I'm curious, from your position, what was that experience like at all? If it was something that was on your radar at the time?
Yeah, I mean, like, I was surprised that they were, like, in the mix and in the finalist mix. And I guess probably like what you're alluding to, I didn't initially believe it. And then, come to find out they made the $700 million offer. And it kind of blew me away that they were and they were, like, the finalists and kind of, like, right there, to the very end until that first day of winter meetings. A bunch of us writers were out to dinner before, the meetings began on Monday when the contract news came down. I was surprised that they were, I mean, obviously not, he's a generational talent and they need, more offense, and any team would be better with him. But I was surprised that they were willing to go after having not spent for so long to make that big of a commitment, and make that, just to really try to like push it over the edge, was surprising to me. And then, pivoted obviously to Bregman, and that was kind of one of their bigger signings, obviously not nearly as big as Soto, but one of their bigger signings in recent years. So I mean, it was like a surprising offseason in that sense. I think that's why this year has been so disappointing, because they finally started to seem like they were wanting to spend again and wanting to like push the team in the right direction, and did make some of these aggressive moves with, trading all the, Teal and all the prospects for Crochet, and then signing Crochet. So yeah, but I mean, the Soto stuff initially, I thought, again, it was just kind of one of those made up rumors, and then started, talking to people and asking around, and realized how real it was and how aggressive they were being. And it was surprising, and I guess, refreshing in a sense, that they're finally starting to, spend again like they had in previous years.
Jen McCaffrey, thank you so much for coming on Not From Boston. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, this was awesome. Such a great time interviewing you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. And good luck with the rest of the podcast.
Thank you. That's our show. Thank you so much for watching and or listening. Thank you to Jen McCaffrey for your time. Please be sure to check out her work on The Athletic, and be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast, Not From Boston, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Substack, which could get you this podcast directly in your inbox. And be sure to leave us a review. Those actually go a long way in helping us out and reaching new people and growing our audience. Until next time, peace.